No matter what people want you to believe, don't ever turn back on your dreams. It's all in your hands, a change is near. Close your eyes, listen, the sound is so clear.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, 3 Degrees of Love. It's your girl Alana here. So I just wanted to jump on real quick because I just happened to be reading some cards in front of me, and yeah, and so just, you know, of course, you know, just in light to everything that, you know, I am embodying, and, you know, how I see the world and everything like that, and, you know, and just my understanding of love, thus the channel name, you know, 3 Degrees of Love, divination, and, you know, and that's just a recent change, just to add the divination part, but, you know, 3 Degrees of Love is still, you know, what I hold near and dear. And anyway, so the cards that I have in front of me, we have the Empress, and this a card pull from the Clarity Tarot here. Yes, I'm sort of doing a handheld because I'm sitting on my couch. But anyway, so yeah, the Clarity Tarot, and this is by Deborah Zachow and Kate Matthews. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, those names right. Yeah, so, you know, that's what we have here. We have Love Song, and this card pull is from the a deck I found from an Etsy, and it's Golden Twin Flames Oracle, and we have Cold Heart, and same deck. I actually have this creator, I'll have everything linked down below, but this creator also created, so there's the Twin Flames, and then there's also a Soulmates deck. So actually I got both, and I usually put them both together and shuffle it that way. And of course, from my beloved deck that I've been using previously, we have Grace. This is the What Would Love Do Oracle cards by Star Laden, and the card that came up is Grace. Divine grace is available to you in every moment. And there's been some other cards that I was pulling, and I'll briefly talk about them. All the ones I'll talk about is actually from Star Laden's deck, and we have assertiveness, fertile, and concentration. And I'll just read the captions underneath. I'll give you the gist of the book because I don't want this to be too long. So assertiveness is speaking honestly about your thoughts, feelings, and desires while still considering others. And that card number is 5. Fertile. A fertile person is a nurturer and an inspiration for others to grow, 29. And concentration. Concentration creates peace of mind, 16. And so, based on this, the way the world has become, and I go back to, to talking about that, because, as an empath and as an observer, and an analytical mind, all of these things are things that, I am observing, I'm feeling, I'm, and just given my background, education, healer, like, a service person of my community and others, and just overall love and joy. This is this is what I see. And as I as I talk about love, and I talk about myself and the embodiment of love and how I see the world and stuff, this to me is just a confirmation of all of that, but also what I see as being the key to a global transformation. And if you've been following me, and you've seen my other readings, it goes, sort of hand in hand in what I've been talking about since the start, since the start of my channel, but also, even in the last, since February, since the beginning of February. And, so for those of you, of course, who know tarot, the Empress, is the representation of the mother figure, the nurturer, the giver, right? The where it all starts, where love is taken in and nurtured, and we the emphasis on the sacral chakra and all of that, right? So talking about, the Empress and that love song, right? And it's and to me, this is confirmation, going back to what I talk about, being, the giver, being the embodiment of that, and how I see the world. If I see myself as love, it means, and I am embodying that, and I'm saying I am love. I see, and and when we talk about empathy and stuff like that, if I am love, then who I see in front of me, the people, the connections I make, the people, that I interact with, I see is the reflection. Going back to, my upbringing and Christianity and stuff like that, we're taught God is love. And if God is love and we're embodying the power of God, and the grace and the love, and we're embodying that, and remembering that that's where we come from, that it's in our DNA, then that's the way to melting the cold heart that society has humanity has sort of become, this sort of protective layer. If you see in this card, there's in the cold heart, there's what looks like ice around, the inner, which is the red, the symbolism of, the heart, which is also a reflective of the root chakra, right? Is the beginning of who we are, right? And as we continue to live in society and we grow, and we're influenced by the, our family members, historically, the way of the world, our upbringings and everything like that, and everything that has gone against that has tried to control that and has changed that and has hurt us, has turned, that into the cold heart, and has just fueled that ego, that evilness, that imbalance to believe that we are deserving more, than someone else. And that's not the case, because we're all love. We all come from love. We're nurtured the same way, right? The empress, the feminine, the feminine aspect, the embodiment of where we're nurtured, right? The seed of creation is nurtured, and it's the woman's choice. The choice to love, right? And so we have, like I said, we have grace here, and divine grace is available to you in every moment. If we remember that we are love and this is where we come from, then we can see with grace the love in others. And so when we talk about boundaries, and we talk about what it may be hurting us, and understanding self-love and all of that, then yes, we with grace learn how to be assertive, right? Assertiveness is speaking honestly about your thoughts, open communication, right? Like feelings and desires while still considering others. And that's 5. So, for those who understand numerology, and 5 being, the halfway point to 10, which is the 10 of cups, right? Change, right? We also know, with the 5 of wands, is the, we talk about passion and, but the fuel of evil, and negativity. I believe in traditional RWS, the 5 of wands, the imagery on the 5 of wands, if is the a bunch of people with sticks sort of fighting each other, so the fighting of one another, but the change on how we're doing it with grace, we're doing it with love. That's what melts a cold heart, because this is where we come from, right? Fertile, we have a fertile person is a nurturer and an inspiration for others to grow. When we do this and we teach and lead and live by example, that's how we slowly begin to melt the cold hearts of the world, right? Concentration, right? Concentration creates peace of mind. And this is 16, and again, going back to understanding tarot, in the major arcana, 16 is the representation of the tower, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me just double check that real quick, because for some reason I am doubting myself, even though don't need to. Nope, there we go. So 16, the tower, yes, right? And the representation and the understanding of what the tower means, the crumbling of what what we know, and or what we've been taught, that sort of negative, all the negative aspects in life, historically, not just in our own lives, but even historically, not that long ago, just at the beginning of the end of 2022, I talk about Song of the Grandmothers, and what my therapist the book that my therapist recommended to me, which is my grandmother's hands, and it's looking at, you know, society and, you know, the divide between, you know, and systemic racism, right? This is the month of love, and it's also Black History Month. But it goes beyond that, because there is so much divide in our world. It's not even just about, you know, even racially, you know, culturally speaking. And, you know, I talk about the divide within Christianity alone, right? And how, and even just in general in spirituality, and how we, you know, become so divided to believe that, okay, well, diving into Wiccan and paganism and tarot reading and all of that, and astrology and all of that, you know, is not, you know, it is spiritual. And, you know, the religious practices, you know, have taken over control to free spirituality, forgetting that it's all connected. You know, Christianity isn't the oldest religion. Hinduism is. And who knows if it goes further than that, because, you know, that information of Hinduism being the oldest one is what's, you know, documented on record that I've been able to uncover, right? I have a book that talks about, you know, various religions. Christianity isn't the oldest one. And anyway, you know, so even, you know, with that, like, I mean, look at even, you know, it's funny because if you, I like to reference a lot of television and you know, and remembering things like that. And one of the people that I love to listen to actually is Trevor Noah. Excuse me. And he is the creation of Black and White. You know, he is African descent, but he also is half white, right? His father is, you know, from Switzerland. And anyways, not to get, you know, to you know, take you out of space too far on Trevor Noah, but you can look him up yourself and stuff like that. But there was the in one of his stand-ups, and he talks about I think it was the fictional movie about James Bond, the series James Bond. And anyways, James Bond, I guess they're now looking to replace Daniel Craig, and they were looking to replace him with, you know, African, you know, an African, well, actually, no, the person they were, a person, you know, Black descent. That's what I was trying to say. I should have just said that. And he, and the person is Idris Elba. And, you know, and of course on social media, everything, you know, sort of blew up and was like, well, he can't play, you know, James Bond, you know, and stuff like that. And it was a whole big controversial, you know, sort of, you know, thing on Twitter and all of that, you know. And I guess, you know, Trevor Noah talks about in his stand-up, he talks about, you know, him getting online and was like, you know, and I guess the running thing is, you know, a black man can't play James Bond. And it's like, why not? You know, James Bond is a fictional character. Why can't someone, you know, of of colored skin not play a fictional character, right? We look at the understanding of the historical background of Christianity and stuff like that, and Jesus. Well, and this is all from what Trevor Noah says. Like, if you look up the stand up, I'll have the link down below for his stand up. But and he's like, well, Jesus was black, historically speaking, from Egypt, Jewish, well, a person of color, but I think he says black in there, and but yet, culturally speaking, historically speaking, Jesus has always been represented by a white man with long hair. That's what I remember growing up seeing. That's the representation of Jesus. That's the image that was pushed. I went to a Catholic school and stuff like that, raised Roman Catholic, and in the church growing up for me, I was baptized, and throughout my childhood, pretty much the reflection I saw, when I went to church was a white priest, white altar boys, for the most part. It's only later on, I think, as I grew up, and of course, we became more multicultural, did we, see a little bit more diversity. But the Catholic faith, there's so many different, diverse, Christianity is so diverse. The idea of Jesus, how did Jesus, anyway, I may not go down that rabbit hole, but you get what I'm saying, I hope. And speaking of hope, as I was drawing cards, hope was another card that came up. Opening is, questioning. Queen of Swords is the representation of, of confrontation, right? The moon representing hidden secrets, uncovering, shadow work. I talk about shadow work and the understanding and the representation of, when we're going against how we got here to be doing the opposite of nurturing, becoming selfish. I talk about the imbalance of the world's resources, and it's held by the very few. Control, right? Love grows. That's the idea of DNA, when we go and we nurture and growing, and the foundation. When our foundation is poisoned by our environment, by our karmic negativity and cycles and thoughts that have been plaguing us for decades, for hundreds of years. The divide is completely like, oh my God, it's on the rocks. It's on the rocks. Anyways, so that's my reading that and I felt the need to share what the cards that I pulled. These are what I had pulled, at the time. I still have lots more cards in play, that for my reading, but that's what I saw and I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope that message finds you well, and I'm sending it out with love. And we really need to take a look in the mirror at ourselves and what and the contributions that we're putting out into the world. What are we putting out, right? What are we giving to each other? What ultimately, how will we ultimately contribute to the world's suffering and the suffering of others? And how can we change that? By looking and doing the shadow work and looking into ourselves and really taking responsibility for our actions, and not just sitting there blaming outward and playing the victim. Because really and truly, we all are. We're all the same. We all come from love. We have, part of that is honoring that. Loyalty was another card that came up, right? Like, oh my God. Anyways, that's what I have for you, until I see you again, or you see me again. Live, listen, and learn. I wholeheartedly 100% love you. I'm love, and I love to give love. That's, to me, that's the ebb and flow of life, and it's from which I came, and as I am a person, so is everyone else in this world. And honoring that and recognizing that and paying homage to that and our ancestors and the fact that we're all connected. We all come from the same source. We're all going to go back to the same source, and we're all going to come again for generations and generations. That's, so we have to, in the time that we are here, we have to do the best we can. We have to take care of one another. That's ultimately how we're going to take care of ourselves. So, as I said, I love you. Until we interact again, live, listen, and learn. Bye, guys.
Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. Gotta love, gotta love, gotta love one another. No matter what people want.